Welcome to Bedtime Science Facts, and to a quiet journey into the science of sleep. Tonight, there is nowhere you need to go and nothing you need to solve. You can simply settle into the darkness, allow your breathing to find its own comfortable rhythm, and listen as we explore one of the most familiar and mysterious parts of human life. Sleep may feel like an empty space between one day and the next, but it is far from empty. While the outside world grows quiet, the brain and body continue working in carefully organized ways. Memories are processed, hormones shift, tissues are maintained, and patterns of electrical activity move gently through the sleeping brain. Scientists describe sleep as a naturally recurring state in which awareness of the surroundings is reduced and the body becomes less responsive to ordinary signals. Yet sleep is not the same as being unconscious. A sleeping person can still respond to meaningful sounds. A parent may sleep through distant traffic but awaken quickly at the soft cry of a child. The brain does not completely disconnect from the world. Instead, it changes the way it listens. Humans spend roughly 1/3 of their lives asleep. This may seem like a remarkable amount of time, especially from an evolutionary point of view. An animal that is sleeping cannot search for food, travel, or watch its surroundings as carefully. The fact that sleep has remained so widespread across the animal kingdom suggests that it performs functions too important to lose. Almost every animal studied carefully appears to have some form of rest that resembles sleep. Mammal sleep, bird sleep. Fish and insects show sleep-like states. Even animals with very simple nervous systems alternate between activity and quiet periods. Their sleep may not look exactly like ours, but the deep biological rhythm of activity and rest seems to be very ancient. Human sleep is not one continuous condition. During an ordinary night, the brain moves through a series of repeating cycles. Each cycle usually lasts around 90 minutes, although the exact length can vary from person to person and from one part of the night to another. Within these cycles are two broad kinds of sleep: non-REM sleep and REM sleep. REM stands for rapid eye movement, named for the small, quick movements of the eyes that often occur beneath closed eyelids. The night usually begins with non-REM sleep. At first, you pass through a light transitional stage. Thoughts may become less orderly. Sounds from the room may begin to feel distant. Muscles relax, breathing slows, and awareness gently fades. Sometimes, during this transition, the body suddenly twitches. This is known as a hypnic jerk. You may feel as though you have stumbled, missed a step, or begun to fall. These movements are common and usually harmless. Researchers do not yet fully understand why they happen. One possible explanation is that the nervous system is adjusting as muscle activity decreases and wakefulness gives way to sleep. As sleep deepens, the brain produces slower patterns of electrical activity. Heart rate becomes more regular, body temperature falls, and the body becomes more difficult to awaken. Eventually, you may enter deep sleep, sometimes called slow wave sleep. During deep sleep, large groups of brain cells become active and quiet in synchronized ways. You might imagine a field of grass moving slowly beneath a nighttime breeze, many blades bending together and then becoming still. Deep sleep is especially common during the first part of the night. It appears to support physical restoration, immune function, and certain forms of learning and memory. Children generally experience more deep sleep than older adults, which may be connected to growth and development. Later in the sleep cycle, the brain moves toward REM sleep. During REM sleep, brain activity becomes more similar to waking activity. Breathing may become less regular, the eyes move rapidly, and vivid dreams are especially likely. At the same time, most major skeletal muscles become temporarily less active. This natural muscle quieting is called REM atonia. It may help prevent the body from physically acting out many of the movements occurring in dreams. The breathing muscles continue to work, of course, along with other essential systems. Dreams can occur during both REM and non-REM sleep. But REM dreams are often more vivid, emotional, and story-like. A familiar room may suddenly open into a forest. A person from many years ago may appear without explanation. Time and place can change in an instant, and while the dream is happening, these strange transitions may feel completely ordinary. Why humans dream is still an open scientific question. Dreams may be connected to memory, emotion, imagination, and the brain's attempt to organize recent experiences. Some researchers think dreams may help the mind explore possible situations in the safe internal world. Others emphasize that dreams may partly reflect the brain creating meaning from spontaneous activity during sleep. No single explanation has answered every question. The amount of REM sleep usually increases toward morning. This is why dreams remembered just before waking can feel especially long or detailed. Dream recall also depends on timing. If you awaken during or shortly after a dream, the memory has a better chance of entering waking awareness. If sleep continues, the dream may fade before it is stored. Many dreams disappear within minutes. This is not necessarily because they were unimportant. The sleeping brain is simply operating under different chemical conditions. Some of the systems involved in forming stable memories are less active during parts of sleep, allowing dream experiences to dissolve quietly. Sleep itself is guided by two major forces. One is the pressure to sleep that gradually builds during waking hours. The longer you remain awake, the stronger this pressure usually becomes. A substance called adenosine is believed to play an important role. As the brain uses energy, adenosine accumulates and contributes to feelings of sleepiness. The second force is the circadian rhythm, the internal timing system that helps organize sleep and wakefulness across approximately 24 hours. This rhythm is coordinated by a small region of the brain called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. Light is one of the strongest signals for this internal clock. In the morning, light entering the eyes helps tell the brain that the active part of the day has begun. In the evening, decreasing light supports the release of melatonin, a hormone that helps signal biological night. Melatonin does not simply switch sleep on like a button. It is more like a quiet message sent through the body, announcing that darkness has arrived and that nighttime processes may begin. As you rest now, perhaps you can picture these rhythms unfolding without effort. Brainwaves slowing and changing. Muscles becoming softer. Temperature drifting slightly downward. The body does not need to be instructed in every detail. It has practiced this nightly journey since long before you could remember. And while many mysteries remain, one fact is already clear. Sleep is not lost time. It is an active, carefully structured part of life, a nightly world in which the brain and body continue their quiet work beneath the surface of awareness. As the night continues, sleep moves through its quiet architecture again and again. The sequence is familiar, but is never perfectly identical. One cycle may contain more deep sleep. Another may contain a longer period of dreaming. Brief awakenings can appear between cycles, sometimes lasting only a few seconds. Most people wake several times during an ordinary night without remembering it in the morning. These small awakenings often occur when the brain shifts from one stage of sleep to another. You may turn over, adjust a blanket, notice a distant sound, and then return to sleep before the moment becomes a lasting memory. So waking during the night is not always a sign that something has gone wrong. Human sleep was probably never designed to be a completely unbroken block of stillness. It is a flexible state, responsive enough to notice changes in the environment while remaining restful enough to continue. Some historians have suggested that in certain pre-industrial societies, people sometimes described a first sleep and a second sleep, separated by a calm waking interval during the night. The evidence does not mean that every person in the past slept this way, but it reminds us that human sleep patterns have not always followed one universal schedule. Artificial lighting, work routines, seasonal daylight, family life, and culture can all influence when people sleep. The biology of sleep is ancient, yet the shape of a night is also affected by the world in which a person lives. You may have noticed that sleep sometimes feels lighter in an unfamiliar room. The first night in a hotel, a guest room, or a new home may contain more awakenings and less deep rest. Researchers call this the first night effect. In laboratory studies, one side of the brain has sometimes appeared more alert than the other during the first night in a new environment. This does not mean that half of the human brain remains fully awake. Rather, certain networks may stay slightly more responsive, perhaps as an old protective feature that helps monitor unfamiliar surroundings. The following night often feels easier. The room has become more predictable. The faint hum, the position of the window, and the shadows near the wall are no longer entirely new. The brain can reduce some of its quiet watchfulness. A much more dramatic form of divided sleep exists in certain animals. Dolphins can allow one brain hemisphere to enter a sleep-like state while the other remains more alert. This is called unihemispheric sleep. It helps them continue surfacing, to breathe and maintain some awareness of their surroundings. Some birds can also sleep with one hemisphere more alert, especially when resting at the edge of a group. A bird positioned where danger is more likely may keep the eye facing outward open while the opposite brain hemisphere rests. When its position changes, the pattern may change as well. Human sleep is more fully shared across both hemispheres, but these animals reveal that sleep is not a single rigid state. Evolution has shaped it differently according to the needs of each species. Even within the human body, different systems do not become quiet at exactly the same time. Before sleep begins, core body temperature usually starts to fall. This cooling is part of the circadian rhythm and can help prepare the body for rest. The temperature of the skin, especially in the hands and feet, may rise slightly as blood vessels widen and release heat from the body's center. In a gentle way, warmth at the surface can support cooling within. Core temperature usually reaches its lowest point in the later part of the night, often a few hours before waking. It then begins to rise again as the body approaches morning. This daily temperature wave continues, even when the room itself remains at nearly the same temperature. Many biological rhythms follow similar patterns. Hormone levels shift. Digestion changes. Alertness rises and falls. The body is not simply reacting to the clock on the wall. It carries an internal sense of time within its cells and organs. Scientists have found circadian clocks in many tissues throughout the body. The central clock in the brain helps coordinate them. But the liver, muscles, and other organs also contain timing mechanisms of their own. It is almost as though the body is filled with many small clocks, quietly adjusting themselves to the larger rhythm of day and night. Light helps keep these clocks aligned. Blue-enriched light is especially effective at influencing the circadian system because special light-sensitive cells in the retina respond strongly to shorter wavelengths. These cells contribute to vision, but they also send timing information directly toward the brain's central clock. This is why bright light in the morning and bright light late at night can have different effects. Morning light can help shift the body toward earlier alertness, while evening light may delay some nighttime signals. The exact response varies between people and depends on timing, brightness, duration, and previous light exposure. The human response to light is one reason sleep can change across the seasons. Long summer evenings and short winter days alter the pattern of natural light reaching the eyes. Modern indoor environments soften these seasonal differences, but they do not erase them completely. Sleep timing also differs naturally from one person to another. Some people feel most alert early in the morning, while others become more focused later in the evening. These tendencies are often called chronotypes. Chronotype is influenced by genetics, age, light exposure, and daily habits. It is not simply a matter of discipline. A person with a later internal rhythm may genuinely find early mornings more difficult, while someone with an earlier rhythm may begin feeling sleepy long before midnight. Chronotype also changes across a lifetime. Young children often wake early. During adolescence, the internal clock commonly shifts later, making teenagers feel alert at night and sleepy in the morning. In later adulthood, many people gradually shift earlier again. These changes are not identical for everyone, but they show that sleep timing is part of development. The preferred hour of sleep is not permanently fixed. Another familiar sign of sleepiness is yawning. Humans yawn before sleep, after waking, during boredom, and sometimes simply after seeing another person yawn. Many animals yawn as well. The purpose of yawning is still being studied. It was once widely believed that yawning mainly brought extra oxygen into the body. But evidence does not support that simple explanation. One possibility is that yawning helps regulate brain temperature or supports transitions between states of alertness. Contagious yawning may be linked to attention, social processing, and the tendency to unconsciously imitate others. It appears in humans and in some social animals, though researchers continue to debate exactly what it reveals. A yawn stretches muscles in the face and jaw, changes breathing, and briefly alters blood flow. It is a small event, but one that connects wakefulness, tiredness, social behavior, and the nervous system. As sleep deepens, another kind of quiet work begins. Newly formed memories are not simply stored in a single moment. They may be strengthened, reorganized, and connected with older knowledge during sleep. Different stages of sleep appear to support different kinds of memory. Deep, non-REM sleep is often associated with the stabilization of facts and experiences, while REM sleep may contribute to emotional memory, creativity, and the integration of ideas. These roles overlap, and scientists are still working to understand the details. During parts of non-REM sleep, the hippocampus, a brain structure important for forming new memories, produces brief bursts of activity called sharp wave ripples. These may help replay recent patterns of experience, allowing information to be gradually communicated to wider networks in the cortex. You may picture the day being softly reviewed without conscious effort. A place you visited, a voice you heard, a movement you practiced, or a small detail that seemed unimportant may be quietly sorted among older memories. Sleep does not preserve every detail. Forgetting is also useful. The brain must select, simplify, and make room for what matters. In this way, sleep may help memory not only by keeping information, but also by reducing some of the noise surrounding it. And while you listen, these processes need no attention from you. The rhythms continue on their own, moving gently beneath awareness. As the night carries the mind from one quiet stage to the next, while memories are being reorganized, the sleeping brain may also be changing the strength of its connections. Throughout the day, the brain receives an enormous amount of information. Every sound, movement, conversation, and passing thought creates activity across networks of neurons. Some connections become stronger as we learn, but the brain cannot simply strengthen everything forever. One influential idea, known as the synaptic homeostasis hypothesis, suggests that sleep helps rebalance some of these connections. During waking life, many neural pathways may become stronger. During sleep, some of that strength may be gently reduced, preserving the most useful patterns while making the system more efficient. Scientists are still studying how widely this explanation applies, but it offers a calm image of the sleeping brain. Rather than shutting down, it may be quietly adjusting its own volume, lowering unnecessary signals so that important ones can remain clear. Sleep may also support learning that involves movement. A pianist practicing a sequence, an athlete learning a new action, or a child discovering how to use a tool may perform more smoothly after sleeping. The body is resting, yet the neural patterns behind movement can continue to be refined. This does not mean that sleep can replace practice. Instead, sleep appears to work with waking experience. The day provides the material, and the night helps organize it. Emotional experiences may also feel different after sleep. During REM sleep, regions involved in emotion and memory can remain highly active, while some areas associated with careful, logical control behave differently from their waking state. One possible result is that emotional memories can be revisited in a new biological setting. Some researchers have proposed that REM sleep may help preserve the information within an emotional experience while gradually changing the intensity attached to it. The full process is still not completely understood, and it may differ depending on the person and the experience. Dreams often reflect this emotional sorting. They may borrow fragments from recent events, but rarely reproduce the day exactly. A conversation may blend with the childhood place. A small worry may appear as an impossible journey. A familiar face may belong to someone else within the dream. Researchers sometimes call recent experiences that appear in dreams the day residue effect. Events from the previous day can enter dreams, although often in altered or symbolic-looking forms. There is also evidence for a dream lag effect, in which some experiences are more likely to appear several days later. These patterns suggest that dreaming may draw from memories at different stages of processing. The sleeping mind seems less like a camera replaying the day, and more like an artist working with scattered pieces of material. Not every dream contains a clear story. Some are made of sensations, brief images, thoughts, or emotions, without a beginning or an ending. Others feel long and detailed, even though the amount of clock time involved may have been fairly short. Experiments with people who become aware that they are dreaming have offered clues about dream time. In lucid dreams, a person recognizes the dream while it is still happening. Some trained lucid dreamers have signaled to researchers using deliberate eye movements, which can be detected during REM sleep. When asked to perform simple timed activities inside a lucid dream, such as counting, the duration sometimes resembles waking time, though physical actions in dreams may feel slower. This suggests that dream time is not completely disconnected from real time, even when the dream itself seems to cross hours, years, or entire imaginary landscapes. Lucid dreaming is not the normal form of dreaming for most people. It may happen rarely and spontaneously, or more frequently in some individuals. The science of lucid dreams has become useful because it allows limited communication between a dreamer and researchers while the dream continues. In several modern studies, sleeping participants have even responded to simple questions during lucid dreams using eye movements or facial muscle signals. This does not mean the sleeping brain is fully awake. Instead, it shows that the boundary between sleeping and waking awareness can sometimes be more flexible than it appears. Another unusual boundary state is sleep paralysis. It can occur while falling asleep or waking up, when awareness returns before the temporary muscle quieting of REM sleep has fully ended. During sleep paralysis, a person may feel awake but briefly unable to move. The experience usually lasts seconds or a few minutes, although it can feel longer, because dream imagery may continue into waking awareness. Some people also experience a sense presence, unusual sounds, or visual impressions. Across history, cultures have explained these sensations in many supernatural ways. Modern sleep science offers a more natural explanation. Features of REM sleep have temporarily overlapped with waking consciousness. The experience can feel unsettling, but it is a known sleep phenomenon rather than evidence of anything mysterious entering the room. The brain is simply moving between states in an unusual order. A similar overlap can happen as a person falls asleep. Images, voices, patterns, or brief scenes may appear during the transition into sleep. These are called hypnagogic experiences. You might see a face that vanishes immediately, hear your name spoken, or picture a place that seems vivid for only a moment. These impressions are often ordinary products of the brain loosening its connection to the outside world. Experiences occurring during the transition out of sleep are called hypnopompic. Both kinds reveal that sleep and wakefulness are not separated by a perfectly sharp line. The brain can carry features of one state into another for a short time. Sleep talking is another example of incomplete separation between sleep and waking behavior. A sleeping person may whisper, speak a few words, or produce an entire sentence without remembering it later. Sleep talking can occur during several sleep stages. The speech may be clear or difficult to understand, and it does not necessarily reveal hidden truths or secret thoughts. Often, it is simply a fragment of activity emerging while the systems for speech and awareness are not fully coordinated. Sleepwalking usually arises from deep, non-REM sleep, especially during the first part of the night. A person may sit up, walk, or perform familiar actions while remaining only partly aware. The brain during sleepwalking is neither fully asleep nor fully awake. Regions involved in movement may be active, while areas responsible for judgment, planning, and clear awareness remain in a sleep-like condition. Sleepwalkers often have little or no memory of the event. Their behavior can appear purposeful, but it is usually guided by simple, familiar patterns rather than careful, conscious decisions. Children sleepwalk more often than adults, perhaps because they tend to experience more deep sleep and because their sleep systems are still developing. Many children gradually experience it less often as they grow older. These strange states remind us that sleep is not a single closed door. It is a landscape with borders, pathways, and gentle transitions. Sometimes, one part of the brain crosses into waking before another. Sometimes movement appears while awareness remains distant. Sometimes a dream briefly touches the room around us. And then, usually, the systems come back into alignment. The muscles soften again, the images fade, and the mind continues its slow passage through the night. By now, we have reached the fourth part of our journey through the science of sleep. As the sleeping brain moves through its nightly cycles, it is doing more than organizing memories and creating dreams. It may also be caring for the physical environment around its cells. The brain is an active organ. Even while you sit quietly, billions of neurons exchange signals and use energy. Like other tissues, this activity produces waste materials that must be removed. For many years, scientists wondered how the brain managed this task so efficiently, because it does not contain the same kind of conventional lymphatic network found throughout much of the body. Research has revealed a system of fluid movement, sometimes called the lymphatic system. Cerebrospinal fluid, the clear liquid surrounding the brain and spinal cord, can move through spaces around blood vessels and mix with fluid between brain cells. This movement may help carry away certain waste products. In animal studies, this clearance process appears to become more active during sleep, particularly during deep non-REM sleep. Some research suggests that the spaces between brain cells may change in ways that allow fluid to move more freely. You may picture the sleeping brain as a quiet city after midnight. The crowded streets of daytime activity have become calmer, allowing maintenance crews to pass through more easily. It is only an image, of course, but it captures the idea that sleep may create conditions for forms of biological housekeeping that are more difficult during wakefulness. Scientists are still studying exactly how this system works in humans. Fluid movement in the brain is complex, and it can be influenced by breathing, heartbeat, body position, blood vessels, and patterns of neural activity. It would be too simple to say that sleep merely washes the brain clean. Still, the evidence suggests that sleep and brain fluid circulation are closely connected. Slow waves during deep sleep may play a part in this process. When large groups of neurons become briefly less active, changes in blood volume and cerebrospinal fluid can follow. Researchers have observed slow, rhythmic waves of fluid moving through the sleeping human brain. These waves are not like ocean waves that you could feel. They are subtle biological movements unfolding within the protected space of the skull. Yet they show how closely electrical activity, blood flow, and fluid circulation can be coordinated during sleep. Breathing also changes across the night. During quiet non-REM sleep, breathing usually becomes slower and more regular. During REM sleep, it may become less predictable, gently speeding up or slowing down as dream-related brain activity changes. The heart follows its own nighttime pattern. Heart rate and blood pressure generally decrease during non-REM sleep, particularly during deeper stages. During REM sleep, they can become more variable. This variation is one reason sleep is better understood as a sequence of active states rather than a single period of complete rest. The body shifts its priorities from one stage to the next. The immune system also communicates with sleep. Certain chemical messengers involved in immune activity can influence feelings of sleepiness. When people are fighting an infection, they may feel an increased desire to sleep, as though the body is encouraging energy to be directed inward. At the same time, sleep supports many aspects of immune regulation. Researchers continue to study the exact relationships, but regular sleep appears to help the immune system remember previous encounters and coordinate its responses. There is an interesting connection between sleep and vaccination. Some studies suggest that sleep around the time of vaccination may influence the strength of the later immune response. The effect varies across studies and circumstances, but it offers another example of sleep supporting biological memory, not only in the brain but also in the immune system. Growth is also linked with sleep. In children and adolescents, a large pulse of growth hormone is often released during deep sleep, especially early in the night. Adults release growth hormone as well, where it contributes to tissue maintenance and metabolism. This does not mean that children physically grow only while sleeping, but sleep provides an important hormonal setting for normal development. The body also manages appetite-related hormones according to daily rhythms. Signals connected with hunger, fullness, and energy use change across the day and night. Sleep interacts with these systems. Although the relationships are complicated and influenced by many parts of daily life, even the skin follows circadian patterns. Blood flow, temperature, cell repair, and water loss can vary according to the time of day. Every surface and organ of the body seems to participate, in some way, in the nightly rhythm. Perhaps one of the strangest features of sleep is how completely the sense of time can disappear. A person may close their eyes, enter several sleep cycles, and awaken with the feeling that only a moment has passed. During waking life, time is measured through change. We notice thoughts, movements, sounds, and events unfolding one after another. During dreamless sleep, there may be no continuous experience to mark those passing minutes. The clock continues, the earth turns, and the body moves through its cycles. But conscious awareness does not record the journey. Morning seems to arrive immediately after the last remembered thought of the night. Dreams can create the opposite sensation. A dream lasting only part of a sleep cycle may seem to contain a long journey. You may visit several places, speak to many people, or live through a complicated series of events. The dream probably does not truly contain days or years of detailed experience. Instead, the brain may create the impression of a long history without representing every moment. A dream can simply provide the feeling that something has already been happening for a long time. The mind does something similar during waking imagination. You can picture an old castle and immediately feel that it has stood for centuries, even though you did not imagine each year of its history. Dreams also change the way we experience identity. Sometimes you are yourself. Sometimes you seem to be a different version of yourself, living in another house or following another life. Occasionally, A dream is observed from outside, almost like a film. Yet even the strangest dream identity often feels natural while the dream continues. The sleeping brain is less likely to pause and ask whether the situation makes sense. One explanation involves the reduced activity of parts of the prefrontal cortex during ordinary REM sleep. These regions help with planning, self-monitoring, and logical evaluation while awake. When their activity changes, impossible events may pass without question. Emotional and visual regions, meanwhile, can remain highly active. This combination may help explain why dreams can be vivid and meaningful, while also being deeply illogical. Not everyone experiences dreams in the same sensory form. Many dreams contain images, but dreams can also include sound, touch, movement, taste, smell, and bodily sensations. People who have been blind since birth may dream using sound, touch, emotion, spatial awareness, and other non-visual senses. Those who lost their sight later in life may continue to experience visual dreams, sometimes for many years. This shows that dreaming does not depend on the eyes. Dream images are created by the brain using stored patterns of experience. External sensations can sometimes enter a dream as well. A sound in the room may become a bell, a voice, or piece of music inside the dream. Pressure from a blanket may become the feeling of carrying something heavy. The sleeping brain may not immediately awaken when a mild signal arrives. Instead, it can weave the sensation into its ongoing internal story. An alarm clock may ring in the real room while, in the dream, it becomes a telephone that no one answers. Eventually, the sound grows strong enough to bring awareness back to the waking world. Even then, waking is not always instantaneous. The mind may remain foggy for a while, especially after deep sleep. This temporary state is called sleep inertia. During sleep inertia, attention, reaction time, and clear thinking may take a little while to return. It is as though different systems of the brain are switching back on at slightly different speeds. And so the boundary of morning resembles the boundary of night. Sleep does not always begin in a single moment, and waking does not always arrive all at once. The brain moves gradually between these worlds, carrying a little of one state into the next, until the room becomes familiar again, and a new day quietly begins. Morning does not arrive at the same biological moment for everyone. Even when two people wake at the same clock time, their brains may be emerging from different stages of sleep, and their internal rhythms may be at slightly different points. This helps explain why one morning can feel clear and gentle, while another feels heavy and slow. Waking from lighter sleep is often easier than waking suddenly from deep sleep. The length of sleep matters, but so does the stage from which the mind is returning. The sleeping brain does not follow a perfect 90-minute timer. Sleep cycles vary in length, and they change across the night. Early cycles usually contain more deep non-REM sleep. Later cycles tend to contain longer periods of REM sleep. This changing pattern is known as sleep architecture. It is a useful phrase because the night of sleep really does have a kind of structure. It contains foundations, repeating rooms, gradual transitions, and different spaces serving different purposes. Sleep architecture also changes with age. Newborn babies sleep for much of the day and night, though their sleep is divided into many short periods. Their rhythms are not yet fully aligned with the 24-hour day. Feeding, growth, and developing brain systems shape their early pattern of rest. A newborn also spends a much larger proportion of sleep in a state resembling REM sleep. Researchers often call it active sleep because babies may move their faces, make small sounds, twitch their limbs, and breathe irregularly while remaining asleep. Active sleep may be especially important for the developing brain. The small movements and internal activity could help young nervous systems build connections and organize sensory information. Scientists are still studying the exact role it plays. During infancy, sleep gradually becomes more concentrated at night. The circadian system matures, and daytime naps slowly become more predictable. Over the following years, total sleep time decreases, while the structure of sleep becomes more like that of an adult. Young children often enter deep sleep very strongly. They can be difficult to awaken, and this deep sleep may help explain why certain partial arousal events, such as sleepwalking or night terrors, are more common in childhood. A night terror is not the same as an ordinary frightening dream. It usually begins during deep non-REM sleep. A child may sit up, cry out, breathe quickly, or appear frightened while remaining only partly awake. The event can look intense to someone watching, yet the child often has little or no memory of it the next morning. Because night terrors arise from deep sleep, they are different from nightmares, which are usually vivid dreams associated more often with REM sleep. Nightmares are generally remembered more clearly. They may involve danger, loss, confusion, or helplessness, but they are still products of the dreaming brain. An occasional nightmare is a common human experience and may simply reflect the mind processing emotion, memory, or recent stress. Dream themes differ across cultures and individuals, yet certain experiences appear frequently. Falling, being late, becoming lost, being unable to speak, or trying to move without success are widely reported. These shared themes may arise from common human concerns and from the unusual way the sleeping brain represents movement and control. The feeling of falling may also appear during the first moments of sleep, near the time of a hypnic jerk. As muscle tone decreases, the brain may interpret the changing bodily signals as movement through space. The result can be a brief and surprisingly vivid sensation of missing a step. The brain normally keeps track of the body through a continuous flow of information from muscles, joints, skin, vision, and the inner ear. During sleep, this flow changes. External signals become quieter, while internally generated sensations can become more influential. This may be one reason dreams contain impossible movement. A dreamer can float, fly, move through walls, or run without feeling the ground correctly. The brain is creating an experience of the body without relying on the usual waking combination of sensory information. Some people dream that they are trying to run but can barely move. This may partly reflect REM atonia, the temporary reduction in skeletal muscle activity during REM sleep. The dreaming brain may generate the intention to move, while receiving little ordinary feedback from the resting body. The exact relationship is difficult to prove, but it offers a possible explanation for a familiar dream sensation. As children grow into adolescence, their sleep timing often shifts later. Melatonin release may begin later in the evening, and the natural rise in sleepiness can occur well after the hour preferred by parents, schools, or early schedules. Teenagers may therefore seem wide awake late at night and deeply sleepy early in the morning. This is partly behavioral, but it also reflects a real developmental change in circadian timing. Deep sleep remains important during adolescence, though its amount gradually begins to decline. Meanwhile, social schedules, artificial light, school demands, and increasing independence can all influence when sleep occurs. In adulthood, sleep usually becomes more stable, but it continues to change slowly. Deep sleep often decreases with age, and sleep may become lighter and more easily interrupted. Older adults may wake more often during the night and spend less time in the deepest stage of non-REM sleep. Their circadian rhythms may also shift earlier, bringing sleepiness sooner in the evening and wakefulness earlier in the morning. These changes do not mean that older people no longer need sleep. Sleep needs vary among individuals, but aging does not remove the brain's need for nightly restoration, memory processing, and biological regulation. The strength of the circadian rhythm can become weaker with age. Changes in the eyes may reduce the amount of light reaching the retina, while daily routines may include less exposure to bright outdoor light. These factors can make internal timing signals less distinct. Napping also becomes more common for some people as they grow older. A nap can be a natural part of the day, and many cultures have long included a period of afternoon rest. Human alertness often dips in the early afternoon, even after a full night of sleep. This dip is partly influenced by the circadian rhythm, rather than being caused only by lunch. The body's internal clock creates periods of greater and lesser alertness across the day. A short nap may contain mostly light non-REM sleep. Because it ends before much deep sleep develops, waking can feel relatively easy. A longer nap may continue into deeper stages, making sleep inertia more noticeable afterward. If a nap lasts long enough, it may include an entire sleep cycle and perhaps some REM sleep. Dreams during naps can be vivid, especially when a person is already short on sleep or is napping at a time when REM sleep is more likely. Some people wake from a nap with a new solution to a problem. Sleep may loosen the usual patterns of thought and allow distant ideas to become connected. The effect is not guaranteed, but history contains many stories of scientists, artists, and inventors finding inspiration near the border between sleep and waking. The chemist Auguste Kekulé famously described a dreamlike image of a snake forming a circle while thinking about the structure of benzene. The exact details of the story have been debated, but it has become a lasting example of how unusual imagery can accompany creative insight. The inventor, Thomas Edison, was said to rest while holding objects that would fall and make a sound as he drifted into sleep. He hoped to awaken near the earliest stage of sleep and capture ideas from that transitional state. Modern experiments suggest that the brief period between wakefulness and sleep may sometimes support creative connections. Researchers do not yet fully understand why, but the mind may become less restricted by ordinary logical patterns, while still remaining close enough to wakefulness to remember what appeared. These half-formed images are delicate. A thought may feel brilliant for a moment and disappear almost immediately. The waking mind must catch it before the ordinary structure of attention returns. And perhaps this is another quiet lesson of sleep. The brain does not always create its most unusual connections through effort. Sometimes ideas emerge when control softens, when the edge of awareness becomes less precise, and when the mind is allowed to wander gently toward the night. As the mind wanders towards sleep, the outside world gradually becomes less important, but it never disappears completely. The sleeping brain continues to examine sounds, touch, temperature, and other signals. Most of these are filtered before they reach full awareness. A quiet fan may continue for hours without disturbing you, while a sudden change in its rhythm may be enough to bring you closer to waking. The brain is especially sensitive to sounds that carry personal meaning. Your own name, a baby's cry, or an unusual noise in a familiar room may receive more attention than an equally loud but unimportant sound. Researchers studying sleeping participants have found that the brain can still distinguish between familiar and unfamiliar voices. during lighter stages of sleep, an unfamiliar voice may produce a stronger response, perhaps because it represents something less predictable. This quiet monitoring helps explain how sleep can remain protective without requiring constant conscious awareness. The brain lowers the curtains, but it does not lock every door. Smell appears to work somewhat differently. Strong odors do not always awaken sleeping people as reliably as sounds do. The sense of smell remains active, but its ability to produce a rapid awakening may be reduced during sleep. This is one reason warning devices rely on loud alarms rather than odor alone. During the night, sound is often a more effective pathway back into awareness. Touch can also influence sleep without causing complete awakening. A change in mattress pressure may lead the body to shift position. A blanket sliding away may cause a person to curl inward or reach for it while remaining asleep. Humans change position many times during the night. These movements relieve pressure, support circulation, and help maintain comfort. They are usually so brief that no memory of them remains. The body may spend long periods on one side, then turn onto the back, then quietly return. Sleep is calm, but it is rarely perfectly motionless. Even the eyes continue to behave differently across sleep stages. During non-REM sleep, eye movements are generally slow or absent. During REM sleep, the eyes may move rapidly in several directions beneath the eyelids. Scientists once wondered whether these movements were simply random. Some studies suggest that they may sometimes correspond to shifts of attention within a dream, almost as though the dreamer is looking from one imagined object to another. The relationship is not exact in every case, and researchers are still studying it. Yet it offers an intriguing possibility. The movements of closed eyes may sometimes follow events in an invisible world created by the brain. The eyelids themselves do not block all light. Bright sunlight or a lamp can pass through them as a soft reddish glow. Even during sleep, this light can influence the circadian system and make awakening more likely. Morning light is especially powerful because it arrives when the body is already moving toward wakefulness. Melatonin levels are falling, core temperature is beginning to rise, and alerting signals are becoming stronger. The hormone cortisol also follows a daily rhythm. Its level often rises toward morning and increases rapidly around the time of waking. Cortisol is sometimes described only as a stress hormone, but it has many normal functions, including helping the body prepare for activity. This morning rise is part of the transition into the day. The body begins adjusting circulation, energy use, attention, and movement before you have consciously decided to get up. Waking naturally can therefore begin long before the eyes open. Sometimes a person awakens shortly before an alarm they expected to hear. This may seem mysterious, but the brain is capable of learning regular schedules. Circadian timing, anticipation, and changes in hormones may all contribute. Studies suggest that expecting to wake at a particular hour can influence the body's preparation for awakening, although this ability is not perfectly accurate. The internal clock is more adaptable than a mechanical alarm, but it is also less exact. The body's timing system is guided by more than light. Meals, exercise, social contact, and regular activity can also provide timing cues. Scientists call such signals Zeitgebers, a German word meaning time givers. Light is usually the strongest time giver for the central circadian clock, but other cues can help organize rhythms and tissues throughout the body. A consistent morning routine may become part of the body's expectation of day. When these signals suddenly change, sleep can become temporarily confused. Traveling across several time zones creates a mismatch between the internal clock and the local environment. This is known as jet lag. The eyes may report that morning has arrived, while the internal clock still believes it is nighttime. Hunger, temperature, alertness, and sleepiness may occur at unusual hours because different rhythms adjust at different speeds. The circadian clock usually shifts only gradually. Traveling east often requires the body to move sleep earlier, while traveling west usually requires a later schedule. Many people find one direction easier than the other, although individual responses vary. Even without travel, a similar mismatch can appear when weekday and weekend sleep schedules differ greatly. Researchers sometimes call this social jet lag. The body repeatedly moves between the demands of a social clock and its preferred biological timing. Chronotype helps determine how strongly this is felt. A person with a late rhythm may struggle with early weekday mornings and then sleep later on free days. Someone with an early rhythm may have less difficulty waking early, but may find late night social activity tiring. Neither pattern is a moral quality. They are variations in biological timing, shaped by both inherited tendencies and experience. Genetic research has identified several genes involved in circadian rhythms. These genes help create molecular cycles inside cells, producing proteins that rise and fall across approximately 24 hours. The process resembles a tiny internal pendulum. Certain genes become active and produce proteins. As those proteins accumulate, they eventually reduce the activity of the genes that produce them. Later, the proteins break down, allowing the cycle to begin again. This feedback loop operates in cells throughout the body. Environmental signals, especially light, help keep the many cellular clocks aligned with the rotation of Earth. The human circadian period is close to 24 hours, but not always exactly 24 hours when measured without normal time cues. Daily light exposure gently resets it, preventing the internal day from drifting away from the external one. Experiments in caves and isolated environments helped scientists understand this. Without clocks, sunlight, or ordinary schedules, participants continue to sleep and wake in a repeating rhythm, showing that the body generates time internally. The rhythms often drifted, however, revealing that the internal clock needs regular information from the environment to stay synchronized. These studies also showed that people are not always accurate judges of time when ordinary cues disappear. A long waking period may feel short. A sleep episode may be mistaken for a brief nap. Meals and activities can slowly move away from the 24-hour day. Time, as experienced by the mind, depends greatly on change, routine, and light. Long before modern laboratories, people noticed connections between sleep and the sky. Sunrise encouraged activity, darkness encouraged rest, and seasonal changes altered the length of the working day. Ancient explanations of sleep were often mixed with philosophy, religion, and mythology. Some imagine sleep as a temporary departure of the soul. Others believe dreams carried messages from outside the dreamer. Modern science approaches these experiences through brain activity, physiology, memory, and perception. Yet the sense of wonder has not disappeared. It has simply changed direction. The mystery is no longer that sleep belongs to another world. The mystery is that an ordinary human brain can create entire worlds while resting in a quiet room. It can measure the passing night without a clock, recognize a meaningful voice without fully waking, and guide thousands of biological rhythms without conscious instruction. All of this happens softly, beneath awareness. While the body lies still and the dark hours continue their patient movement toward morning. Not all sleep belongs to humans, and one of the most fascinating ways to understand our own nights is to look quietly across the animal world. Sleep has evolved into many forms. Some animals rest for long stretches. Others sleep in brief fragments. Some hide in safe places, while others remain partly alert. Each pattern reflects the environment in which that animal must survive. Large grazing animals often sleep less than small predators. A horse may sleep for only a few hours across an entire day, and much of that rest can occur while standing. Special structures in the legs help support the body without requiring constant muscular effort. Yet horses usually need to lie down to enter longer periods of REM sleep. Because lying down makes a large animal more vulnerable, these episodes may be brief and carefully timed. Giraffes are also famous for sleeping surprisingly little. In the wild, they may rest in short periods scattered across the day and night. A giraffe can sleep standing, but during deeper rest it may lower its enormous neck and curl its head toward the body. This position looks peaceful, though it is rarely maintained for long. For an animal surrounded by possible danger, sleep must remain flexible. Predators often have more freedom to sleep. Lions may rest for much of the day, especially after feeding. Their position near the top of the food chain allows them to spend long hours conserving energy. Domestic cats carry a similar pattern into human homes. A cat may appear to sleep through most of the afternoon, then suddenly become active at dusk. Cats are naturally most alert around the transitional hours of dawn and evening, when many of their ancestral prey animals were moving. Much of a cat's rest is light sleep. Its ears may turn toward a sound, and its eyes may open at the smallest disturbance. During deeper sleep, however, a cat may twitch its paws, move its whiskers, or make tiny sounds. These movements suggest that cats experience REM sleep and perhaps dream-like activity. We cannot know exactly what a cat experiences in a dream, but the sleeping brain patterns and muscle twitches resemble those seen in other dreaming mammals. Dogs also pass through recognizable sleep stages. Their breathing changes, their eyes move beneath closed lids, and their legs may make gentle running motions. It is tempting to imagine that a sleeping dog is chasing something through a dream landscape. Science cannot directly confirm the content of the dream, but mammals share many of the brain systems involved in sleep and memory. Smaller animals often sleep more than larger ones, although there are many exceptions. Bats may spend most of the day resting upside down in caves, trees, or sheltered structures. Sleeping upside down allows a bat to launch into flight quickly. Its tendons can lock around a perch with little continuous muscular effort, so remaining suspended does not require the same kind of strain it would for a human. Rodents also sleep frequently, often in many short episodes. Their sleep can be strongly influenced by temperature, light, safety, and access to food. Some animals enter states that resemble sleep, but also involve major reductions in body temperature and metabolism. Torpor may last for part of a day, while hibernation can continue through long seasonal periods. Hibernation is not simply one long, uninterrupted sleep. A hibernating animal may cycle through deep metabolic slowing and brief periods of warming. During those warmer intervals, some animals appear to sleep in more familiar ways. This creates an interesting puzzle. After spending weeks in a state of reduced activity, an animal may still seem to require ordinary sleep when it briefly warms. Scientists are still studying why hibernation does not fully replace the functions of sleep. Marine mammals face a different challenge. Dolphins must surface regularly to breathe. Because breathing is more consciously controlled in dolphins than it is in humans, fully losing awareness could be dangerous. Their solution is unihemispheric slow-wave sleep. One half of the brain rests more deeply, while the other remains sufficiently alert to guide breathing and movement. The eye connected more strongly to the waking hemisphere may remain open. Later, the two sides can exchange roles. Some dolphins continue swimming slowly while sleeping. Mothers and newborn calves may remain active for remarkably long periods after birth, resting in brief and unusual ways while the calf learns to surface and stay close. Seals show another flexible pattern. Depending on whether they are on land or in water, some species can shift between sleeping with both hemispheres and using more divided forms of rest. When floating at the surface, a seal may sleep with its nostrils above water. Other seals descend and sleep underwater, waking or partially arousing when it is time to return for air. Sea otters often rest while floating on their backs. They may wrap themselves in kelp to avoid drifting away, and mothers sometimes hold their pups against their bodies. In groups, sea otters may hold paws while resting at the surface. This behavior helps keep them together as waves and currents move beneath them. Bird sleep is equally varied. Many birds experience both non-REM and REM sleep, but their sleep cycles are often much shorter than those of humans. Some birds tuck their heads beneath a wing, reducing heat loss and shielding the beak. Others balance on branches using tendons that tighten naturally when the legs bend, helping the feet grip without constant effort. Migrating birds present one of the strangest sleep questions in nature. Certain species remain in flight for extremely long periods. Researchers have found evidence that some birds can sleep briefly while gliding. Great frigate birds, for example, can take very short episodes of sleep during long flights over the ocean. They sleep far less in the air than when resting on land, suggesting that the need to navigate and remain aloft limits how much sleep is possible. Some of these birds use one hemisphere at a time, while brief periods of whole brain sleep may also occur during stable gliding. The episodes can last only seconds. After returning to land, the birds sleep more normally. This suggests that animals can temporarily reduce sleep under extraordinary conditions, but they may later compensate when safety allows. Sleep compensation is also seen in humans. After a period of unusually short sleep, the next night may contain more deep sleep, longer total sleep, or stronger sleep pressure. The body does not always recover lost sleep hour for hour. Instead, it appears to prioritize certain stages, especially deep non-REM sleep. Researchers call this rebound sleep. REM sleep can also rebound after it has been repeatedly interrupted, sometimes appearing sooner and lasting longer during later sleep. This reveals that the brain regulates not only the total amount of sleep, but also the balance of its different stages. Still, the reason animals need such different quantities remains partly mysterious. Body size, diet, metabolism, brain development, safety, and social behavior all appear to matter, but no single rule explains every species. The tiny brown bat can sleep for much of the day. The giraffe sleeps only in scattered moments. The dolphin lets one half of its brain drift into rest while the other watches the water. And humans lie quietly between these extremes. cycling together through light sleep, deep sleep, and dreams. Across oceans, forests, grasslands, caves, branches, and softly darkened rooms, sleep takes many shapes. Yet beneath all those differences is the same ancient pattern: periods of activity followed by a mysterious withdrawal as living creatures turn inward and allow their bodies and nervous systems to enter another state. We have now reached the 8th part of our quiet journey through the science of sleep. So far, we have moved through the architecture of human sleep, the changing rhythms of the body, the strange borderlands between dreaming and waking, and the remarkable forms of rest found across the animal world. Now, we can return gently to the human night and explore one of sleep's most familiar mysteries: why some nights seem filled with dreams, while others appear completely empty. Most people dream several times during a typical night, even if they wake believing that they dreamed nothing at all. The difference is usually not whether dreaming occurred, but whether any part of it was remembered. Dream memories are delicate. They are often created while the brain is in a state that is not especially suited to forming stable, long-lasting records. Unless a person wakes during a dream or shortly afterward, the experience may disappear before it can be carried into waking memory. This is why a dream can feel intensely vivid at the moment of waking and then fade within minutes. At first, the room, the people, and the emotions may seem perfectly clear. Then the details begin to loosen. One scene vanishes, then another, until only a feeling remains. Some people remember dreams more often because they naturally wake more frequently during the night. These awakenings do not need to be long. Even a brief return toward wakefulness may give the brain an opportunity to store part of the dream. Studies have found differences in brain activity between frequent and infrequent dream recallers, particularly in networks involved in attention and responses to external sounds. Frequent recallers may be slightly more responsive to their surroundings during both sleep and wakefulness. This does not necessarily mean they sleep badly. It may simply mean their brains pass through the boundary between sleep and waking in a way that makes dream memories easier to capture. Interest also matters. People who pay attention to dreams often remember more of them. The brain tends to preserve experiences that are treated as meaningful. Simply pausing after waking and thinking quietly about what was happening can sometimes allow fragments to return. A dream may first reappear as an emotion rather than an image. Perhaps there is a sense of distance, warmth, confusion, or relief. From that feeling, a place may emerge, followed by a face or a line of conversation. Trying too forcefully to remember can sometimes make the dream disappear more quickly. Dream recall often works better when the mind remains still and allows the memory to unfold without pressure. Dreams can contain people who have not been consciously thought about for years. A childhood classmate, a former neighbor, or a person briefly seen in a crowd may enter the sleeping mind without invitation. The brain stores far more information than it can consciously access at any one moment. During dreaming, fragments from distant memories may become connected with recent experiences, creating combinations that would rarely occur while awake. Faces in dreams are especially interesting. Some may belong to familiar people, while others appear to be invented. It is difficult to know whether a seemingly unfamiliar face is truly new, or whether it was assembled from features encountered before. The brain is highly skilled at constructing faces. While awake, It can recognize subtle differences in expression and identity almost instantly. During sleep, those same visual systems can create a convincing person who has never existed in exactly that form. Dream characters may also behave independently. They can say something unexpected, refuse to follow the dreamer's wishes, or appear to possess knowledge of their own. This can feel strange because the entire dream is being produced by one brain. Yet conscious awareness does not control most waking mental activity either. Words, emotions, and ideas often arise before we deliberately choose them. In dreams, the separation becomes more obvious. Different networks create voices, movements, and reactions, while the dreamer experiences them as belonging to someone else. Some dreams return repeatedly. A location may appear across several nights, gradually becoming as familiar as a real place. The dreamer may recognize a street, a building, or a landscape that exists only in sleep. These recurring dream environments may be built from mixtures of real memories. A dream house could contain the staircase from one home, the windows from another, and a hallway that never existed anywhere. The brain does not need to design every detail. Like a stage set viewed in dim light, the dream world only needs to create enough information for the current moment. A room may feel complete even though the dreamer never looks behind them. A city may seem enormous even though only one street is experienced. The brain supplies a sense of space without constructing every part of it. Dream geography can also change without warning. A doorway may lead somewhere impossible. A road may become a river. A familiar neighborhood may suddenly be located beside the ocean. While awake, these changes would be immediately noticed. During ordinary dreams, the mind often accepts them without surprise. This may happen because the brain is generating both the dream world and the expectations used to interpret it. If the dream creates a new location, it can also create the feeling that the location has always been there. Dreams sometimes contain false memories. A person may remember events that never happened, relationships that do not exist, or a long history with an imaginary place. These memories can feel completely genuine until waking. They provide the dream with a background, allowing a complicated situation to make sense without needing to show how it began. False awakenings are another curious dream phenomenon. A person dreams that they have awakened, left the bed, or begun the morning, only to discover later that they were still asleep. The dreamed bedroom may look almost identical to the real one. Small details may be wrong, but they are often unnoticed. The dreamer may turn off an alarm, check a clock, or start getting dressed before waking again. Sometimes several false awakenings occur in a sequence. Each time, the person believes the dream has ended. This can create the impression of moving through several layers of waking. Science does not suggest that these are truly separate worlds or levels of reality. They are dreams about a highly familiar experience, waking up. Because awakening happens every day, the brain has a rich collection of memories from which to construct the scene. Clocks and written words often behave strangely in dreams. A number may change when viewed twice, or a sentence may become unreadable. This is not a universal rule, but stable reading and precise visual details can be difficult for the dreaming brain to maintain. Language itself, however, can appear clearly. Dreamers may have conversations, hear names, tell jokes, or speak in languages they know. The exact wording is often forgotten after waking, even when the meaning remains. Music can also appear in dreams. Some people hear familiar songs, while others experience melodies that seem entirely original. Musicians have occasionally reported waking with fragments of music that later became part of a composition. As with other creative dream stories, memory may improve the tale over time, so historical examples should be treated carefully. Still, the sleeping brain is certainly capable of producing patterns of rhythm, tone, and emotion. The mind that dreams is not separate from the mind that wakes. It uses the same memories, senses, language systems, and emotions, but combines them under different conditions. And when morning comes, most of these strange internal worlds dissolve quietly. A few remain as stories. Some survive only as feelings. Others vanish so completely that the night seems to have contained nothing at all. Yet beneath that apparent emptiness, the sleeping brain may have crossed many landscapes, met forgotten faces, listened to impossible music, and returned without leaving a single visible trace. We have now reached the 9th part of our quiet journey through the science of sleep. Tonight, we can turn toward another gentle question. How does the brain decide when to remain asleep and when to wake? Sleep may seem passive, but the brain is constantly balancing two different needs. One is the need to protect rest. The other is the need to remain responsive to anything important in the surrounding world. During deep sleep, many ordinary sounds are filtered out. A clock may continue ticking. Rain may touch the window. A distant car may move through the street without entering awareness. Yet the sleeping brain does not treat every sound equally. A sudden noise is more likely to cause awakening than a steady one. The brain gradually becomes accustomed to repeated signals that do not change. This process is called habituation. Once a sound has been judged harmless, it may fade into the background. This is why someone can sleep beside a familiar fan or near the regular movement of trains. The sound is present, but it becomes predictable. A small interruption in that pattern may be more noticeable than the louder background itself. Meaning also matters. A person may remain asleep through an unrelated conversation, but wake when their own name is spoken softly. The brain continues to evaluate some of the information reaching it. Even when conscious awareness is absent, researchers have observed different electrical responses to familiar and unfamiliar voices during sleep. An unfamiliar voice may receive more attention, perhaps because the sleeping brain cannot immediately classify it as safe. This ability is useful, but it is not perfect. Sleep must reduce awareness enough to allow genuine rest. If every small sound caused complete awakening, sleep would be fragile and inefficient. Instead, the brain seems to maintain a quiet threshold. Signals below the threshold are processed without waking. Signals that appear strong, unusual, or meaningful may bring the brain toward lighter sleep. The threshold changes during the night. It is often hardest to wake someone from deep non-REM sleep. During lighter sleep, external sounds can more easily enter awareness. REM sleep presents a curious mixture. The brain is highly active internally, yet the dreamer remains disconnected from much of the outside world. A sound may be ignored, may cause awakening, or may become woven into the dream. A ring telephone in the room may become a bell in a dream. Rain may become the sound of a river. Music playing nearby may appear as part of an imagined celebration. The dream does not always copy the sound accurately. It interprets it, giving the signal a place within the ongoing story. Sometimes this integration delays waking. The brain attempts to explain the sound inside the dream before finally recognizing that it belongs to the room. Touch can be incorporated in a similar way. A cool breeze may become winter air. A heavy blanket may become an object resting across the dreamer's body. The position of an arm may influence the sensation of being held or unable to move. Signals from inside the body can also enter dreams. A full bladder may produce dreams about searching for a bathroom. Thirst may create images of water. Changes in breathing may influence dreams involving narrow spaces, swimming, or physical effort. These connections are not perfectly predictable. A single bodily signal can be interpreted in many different ways by the dreaming mind. The brain also receives constant information from the inner ear, which helps control balance and movement. During sleep, ordinary movement is limited, and visual information comes from within rather than from the eyes. This unusual combination may contribute to dreams of floating, falling, spinning, or flying. Flying dreams are especially common. The dreamer may rise gently above a landscape, glide through a room, or move through the air, simply by deciding to do so. There is no single scientific explanation for every flying dream. The sensation may involve the brain's internal model of the body, memories of movement, and reduced feedback from muscles and gravity. The result can feel completely natural while the dream continues. Dreams about falling may have a different quality. They often happen near the beginning of sleep and may accompany a sudden muscle jerk. In other cases, they appear later as part of a longer dream. The body is safely resting, but the brain can create a convincing sensation of movement through space. Our awareness of body position comes partly from proprioception, the sense produced by receptors in muscles and joints. Proprioception quietly tells you where your arms and legs are, even when your eyes are closed. During sleep, this information continues, but conscious access to it changes. The brain may construct a dream body that does not perfectly match the physical body in bed. A dreamer may have extra limbs, move without legs, feel unusually large, or exist only as a point of awareness. Such experiences reveal how flexible the brain's representation of the self can be. Even during waking life, the sense of owning a body is actively created. Vision, touch, balance, and proprioception are continuously combined into one stable experience. Dreaming shows what can happen when that combination is generated mostly from memory and internal activity. The sleeping brain can also lose its sense of physical limitation. In dreams, a person may breathe underwater, survive a great fall, or pass through a solid wall without questioning it. The brain is not applying the ordinary rules of physics with the same consistency it uses while awake. Yet some rules remain. Dreamers often move through recognizable spaces, speak with familiar voices, and experience emotions that closely resemble waking emotions. This mixture of realism and impossibility gives dreams their distinctive quality. They are strange enough to surprise us after waking, but coherent enough to feel believable while they unfold. Dream emotions can sometimes be stronger than dream images. A scene may be visually unclear but filled with intense happiness, urgency, embarrassment, or calm. The emotional centers of the brain can be highly active during REM sleep. At the same time, the systems that normally place emotions into careful context may work differently. This may allow a small event in a dream to carry an enormous feeling. A missing object may create deep sadness. A simple room may feel profoundly safe. A person may awaken with an emotion that remains long after the dream's details have disappeared. These morning feelings are sometimes called dream residue. They can influence mood briefly, even when the dream itself cannot be remembered clearly. The reverse can happen as well. Experiences from the day influence the emotional tone of sleep. A peaceful day may provide gentle material, while an uncertain day may produce more restless themes. Dreams do not always reflect waking emotions directly. A difficult day can lead to an ordinary dream, and a calm day can produce a strange one. The sleeping brain combines many layers of memory, some recent and some very old. Scientists are still studying whether dreaming serves a necessary emotional function, or whether some dream experiences are simply a byproduct of other sleep processes. It is possible that several explanations are true at once. Dreams may reflect memory consolidation, emotional regulation, spontaneous brain activity, and the mind's natural tendency to build stories. Sleep science often becomes more interesting when a single answer gives way to several connected possibilities. The brain is not one machine performing one task at a time. It is a collection of interacting systems, each following its own rhythms while contributing to the experience of sleep. And so the night continues with many quiet conversations between the brain and the body, between memory and sensation, between the sleeping mind and the room around it. Most of these conversations never become conscious. They unfold beneath the surface, sorting sounds, adjusting movement, shaping dreams, and deciding gently whether the night should continue or whether it is time to return to the waking world. As we reach the final part of our journey, the night has carried us through many different forms of sleep. We have followed the brain as it moved from light sleep into deep, slow waves. We have watched REM sleep bring vivid dreams while the body rested almost completely still. We have listened to the quiet timing signals of melatonin, temperature, light, and the circadian clock. And we have seen that sleep is not an empty pause between days. It is an active biological state, ancient, carefully organized, and still not fully understood. Even after decades of research, scientists continue to ask why sleep evolved in so many different animals. Memory, physical maintenance, immune regulation, emotional processing, brain development, and energy use all appear to be important. Yet no single explanation seems to contain the whole story. Sleep may have many functions because it has had an extraordinarily long time to become woven into almost every part of life. The need for sleep appears to be flexible, but it cannot be removed entirely. Animals can sometimes reduce their sleep when migration, danger, caring for young, or finding food makes rest difficult. Humans can also remain awake beyond their usual time, but the pressure for sleep gradually returns. Adenosine accumulates. Attention becomes less steady. Thoughts may wander. The eyes feel heavier, and the brain begins seeking the state it has temporarily postponed. When sleep finally arrives after a long waking period, its structure may change. Deep sleep can become more intense. REM sleep may later increase. The brain seems to keep a quiet record of what has been missed, even though sleep cannot always be repaid in a simple hour-for-hour exchange. This regulation is one of the many reasons researchers describe sleep as homeostatic. The body continually works to maintain balance. Too much time awake strengthens the need for sleep, while sleep gradually reduces that pressure. The circadian clock adds another rhythm to this balance. It can temporarily support alertness even when sleep pressure is high. This is why someone may feel unexpectedly awake during the evening and then suddenly become sleepy later. The two systems move together like overlapping waves. One records how long the brain has been awake. The other estimates where the body is within the daily cycle of light and darkness. Sleep usually comes most easily when these waves align, yet sleep is not identical from one night to the next. It responds to learning, activity, emotion, age, environment, health, temperature, and countless small experiences from the day. A night after exploring a new place may contain different dream material from a night spent following a familiar routine. A day of physical movement may change the body's sense of rest. A difficult puzzle may continue to echo in memory while the brain reorganizes what it has learned. The exact details remain mostly hidden from awareness. We do not feel the hippocampus replaying patterns of activity. We do not notice slow waves moving across the cortex. We do not hear the chemical conversations between the immune system and the brain. We simply become sleepy. Then, for a while, the conscious world grows quiet. Perhaps this is one of the strangest facts about sleep. Something so biologically complex can feel so simple from the inside. A person lies down, closes their eyes, and allows awareness to fade. Beneath that ordinary act, billions of cells shift into new patterns. Muscles relax, hormones change, memories become less fixed and more fluid. Fluids move through spaces around the brain, and internal clocks continue measuring the darkness. Dreams may appear, carrying fragments of recent days and distant years into unfamiliar places. A dream may last only a short time, yet contain the feeling of a long journey. It may introduce a person who never existed, create a room that feels remembered, or build an entire history in a single moment. Then the dream disappears. By morning, the mind may retain one image, one sentence, or nothing at all. The forgotten dream is not necessarily lost because it lacked meaning. It may simply have belonged to a form of consciousness that was never designed to leave a permanent record. Researchers are still exploring whether every dream serves a function. Some dreams may contribute to emotional or memory processing. Others may arise naturally as the sleeping brain combines activity into a story. There may never be one answer that explains every dream. The same is true of many sleep phenomena. Scientists understand that sleep paralysis involves an overlap between rematonia and waking awareness, but they are still studying why some people experience it more often than others. They know that hypnic jerks commonly occur near sleep onset, but the exact reason for the sudden falling sensation remains uncertain. They can observe sleepwalking emerging from deep, non-REM sleep, yet the precise combination of brain activity that allows movement without full awareness is still being investigated. Sleep is familiar enough to happen every night, and mysterious enough to keep producing new questions. New technologies allow researchers to study sleeping brains in greater detail. Electrical recordings reveal rapid bursts and slow waves. Brain imaging shows changing networks. Laboratory conversations with lucid dreamers have demonstrated that limited communication can sometimes cross the border between a dream and the waking world. But every answer reveals another layer. How does the brain choose which memories to strengthen? Why do some experiences enter dreams immediately, while others appear days later? How do different regions of the brain wake at slightly different speeds? How much do animals experience during their unusual forms of rest? And why did nature preserve sleep even in creatures that must breathe at the ocean's surface, fly across continents, or remain alert for predators? These questions do not make sleep less peaceful. They make it more remarkable. Tonight, you do not need to answer them. The body already knows how to begin its nightly rhythms without conscious effort. The heart can slow. The breath can become quiet. The brain can pass through its stages without needing to name them. You may simply imagine the world resting around you. Birds balanced quietly on hidden branches. Dolphins moving slowly through dark water with one hemisphere resting. A cat curled into warmth. A city growing still as windows gradually lose their light. And within countless sleeping minds, memories being sorted, dreams forming and dissolving, and the ancient rhythm of rest continuing beneath the turning earth. There is nothing more you need to follow now. The facts can become softer and more distant. The words can lose their edges. Perhaps your attention will drift away before the final sentence, and that is perfectly all right. Thank you for spending this quiet time with Bedtime Science Facts. For now, allow the night to continue without effort. Let the room remain still. Let your thoughts move more slowly, and as the waking world gently fades, may you rest within the calm and mysterious science of sleep.